All right, Shalom. This is Harawan Ban Allah of the Lions Den Camp. I want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Harakakwadash, Ma'amah. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. I want to go into this topic dealing with this this general named General, I think his name was Thomas Jessup. All right. And he was a general sent in to, quelch the Seminole Wars that was going on. All right. And he was also sent out to catch what they called at that time Black Seminoles, or they called blacks, which are really Judites. All right. And the Seminoles are from the tribe of Reuben, according to the scriptures. All right, so this is it shows the reason I want to go into this is to show Esau's hatred towards us, man, and that they are a true enemy. All right, and they've shown us that we haven't shown ourselves to be enemies to them, except for trying to be righteous. That makes you an enemy to the wicked. But yeah, man. So Esau has shown their hatred towards us, man, what they call a hate crime, or so he was part of the Seminole Wars, the second Seminole War all the way to the third Seminole War. Now you had Osceola, who was I did a lesson on him, Seminole, and they set him up, man. All right, he was going to war against them heathens down here in Florida. He was winning a lot of the battles, but you can go through the playlist. You see a lesson I did on him. But he was winning the battles, and they even have streets named after him, Osceola here in Jacksonville, and a lot of his family is still around. The Osceola family. All right, but this brother here. They set him up. They lied to him to get him to come in. He was actually, they couldn't catch him, They couldn't catch him. And they called him the spirit of war. So he would paint his face red when it was time to go to war. All right. But you had a lot of those heathens, Esau, the so-called white man, as I'm reading this book that I have, called The Native American Heroes. All right, it's a book about Osceola, Cochise, and Tecumseh. All right. Now, this right here is focusing on Osceola. All right, and the hatred that Esau has shown us, man, and how they defied the truce meeting that they had, man. They had a meeting where they both brought in their white flags. All right, see here it says the arrest of Osceola, and this is when they set him up. it's Esau even used peace to deceive our people. All right, so that's what they did. They told him. He gave what you call a white plume, which would be like a feather, and Esau gave their white flag for peace, to meet up, all right, and have a meeting. And at this meeting, they trapped Osceola in such a deceptive way, man. It went down in history as one of the worst meetings ever, man. Dishonorable on Esau's part, and a true act of hatred towards our people. All right, and in trying to please the slave owners, slave catchers, and the riches and greed, of what they call the Americans at that time, or Esau. All right, Europeans. All right, so all right, this was Osceola, man, and he wouldn't give up. He would meet up with them. When he did meet up with Esau, and they gave, a deal, an offer, he would pull out his knife and stab the paper and say, "This is the only agreement or covenant I'll make with you damn Europeans, you Edomites." All right, so they call him the spirit of war. He'll never give in. So Esau put out this idea. They said, "Hey, you get rid of the spirit of war, you get rid of Osceola, then what? Then you take away their spirit. Their right, their morale. All right, you take away the morale of the Seminoles. Now, right here, you see this is where they set him up at, and he was like a celebrity. All the guards and the Edomite soldiers was happy to meet him, and they let him die off in a prison. And he caught the flu and died, a throat infection. And they would leave him by the water, and take the chains off of him and let him free to walk by the water, just like with Ezekiel in Babylon. And they would let him see the birds, but not see his family, and he basically died in quietness. And they moved him around in different prisons, from to Georgia to Carolina, all these different places, man, to keep him hidden. Fucking crazy, man. But this right here is called "Betrayed Under a Flag of Truce." Seminole War hero Osceola. All right, so he was betrayed. So let's get into it. All right, I'm gonna do a read from this book called "The Native American Heroes," and this is a children's book. All right, but listen to what it says in here. I'm gonna read it straight. This is page 7. It says, titled "The Promise is Broken." All right, and that's what Esau does, man. They break their promises. So it says, "The Seminole War had to end, but how? Give Florida back to the Seminoles? Never. Then get the Seminoles out of Florida? Yes, but how? General after general had failed." So Esau kept failing, man, to remove the northern tribes out of certain areas of today was called America. There was only one answer to this whole Seminole problem. It wasn't a problem. It's just Esau was trying to take over, or what they call manifest destiny, where they felt like they had the rule, which is right according to scriptures, because the scriptures say that this is Job 9:24. "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" So Esau, the earth has been given into the hands of Esau, and they had their conquest all over the world, man. All right. All right. Now this is talking about the wicked Sadducees and Pharisees, scribes, or the wicked of our people. But it also fits Esau, because that's where all the wickedness stems from. All right. 2 Timothy 3:1. "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come." All right. Now that's what we're going into now. "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous." And when Esau pulled up over here to the Americas, it was pushing something called what? White supremacy. All right. And it says, "Lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud," as Esau, "blasphemers," all right, lying on the scriptures, "disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection. All right. Truce breakers, false accusers. That's why they call Esau the accuser of our brethren. Incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God. All right, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. So that fits Esau as well. All right, because when they showed up over here, they broke their truce. They made peace with us, and then they'll break their truce, man. As I'm about to read to you in the story, and they were proud and high-minded, and they loved their own nation. All right, and they called themselves representing the God of the Bible when it was really representing the Queen of England or Spain. You know, so. All right, it says general after general had failed, and Esau was failing at their genocide, not just a hate crime, but they were committing genocide on our people. All right, trying to destroy us. There was only one answer to this whole seminal problem, said the government men. The government men basically, they cover it up when it speaks about Esau. They say the government, like they're like they're supposed to do this to people. No, what they have done to the Seminole Indians and basically all the northern tribes of Israel that were scattered here in America. What they've done to our people and to the Negroes, Judah, Benjamin, Levi, is an act of genocide, man. A wicked act, murder, robbing, stealing, and killing. True act of hatred, what you call a hate crime. All right. And now these three men here that you see on the picture, and the Seminoles, what they call the Redskins over there on that damn football team, Washington Redskins. They wear it as a mascot now. That's all it's become. The warriors that stood up for their people and that vowed to never give in to this nation. Now they're hung on shirts as a mascot piece, just like you hang an animal head on the wall. That's what Esau does, man. The hunter. All right. But the Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua has not forgotten what they've done to our people. Even if they try to forget it, try to hide it, cover it, demonize us for putting the mirror in their face. All right. Now it says this. There was only one answer to this whole Seminole problem, said the government men. They should have said Edomite men. Osceola. They said Osceola was the problem. Wasn't he the great spirit of war? Kill the spirit of war and end the war. So that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to kill him. See that? Killing. This is a human being, man. They wanted to kill him and take his life. And they did it eventually. All right. So they said kill the spirit of war. Just like today, 2,000 years ago, they thought to kill the spirit of faith through Yahushua. All right. And now they want to kill the spirit of truth. That's why this is a spiritual battle, man. All right. It's not a physical war. It's all about spirit. Esau knows that. They try to kill the morale and spirit of our people. All right. And that's why Hosea 4:6, it says our people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. All right. And Esau has been cunning in hiding the truth from our people as well. All right, so I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. It says General Thomas Jessup was called in. That's this guy right here. All right, they called in this Edomite, and they even named Central Florida after him. It's called Jessup Lakes or something like that. Jessup, Florida. All right. Matter of fact, this is Psalms 49 and 11. Their inward thought is, so what's their inward thought? In their mind and their heart. All right. Esau's imaginations, their device. So their hope, what they called manifest destiny. They thought it was their destiny for what? Their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. Esau thought he was going to rule forever. Even today they think that. Make America great again. Well, how was America made? If they call this great, which is a fallen kingdom, just like any other fallen nation, all right? Like Rome fell, America's fallen. So if they call this great, how did they make it great? They made it great through robbing, killing, stealing. That's it. That's how they got their riches in this place, man. And through backdoor deals and deception. All right. So how do they make it great again? They trying to go back to that old Edomite way of thinking, manifest destiny. And they try to put America over everything, meaning Esau over everything. So it says the inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever and their dwelling places to all generations. All right. But the Lord said, I'm gonna get another scripture. So their dwelling places that they built up all over the world, they think that's going to last forever, man. They call their lands after their own names. All right. So they came over to the Americas, even over in our land. You have Rothschild Boulevard. All right. All throughout America, they called it America Vespucci. See that? St. Augustine, which he never made it there. All right. What was I just reading about? Jessup, right? Jessup County or whatever it's called. All right. Man, it's crazy, man. So even Dade County, all right. He was the general that lost to Osceola in the Seminoles. He lost the war. And that's why they brought in Jessup, all right? Thomas Jessup, they brought him in, that Edomite. And he was scared. And his whole thing was trying to impress his colleagues. And he wanted to be known as a hero. And that's it, man. All right? And a lot of poor Edomites was coming over from Europe seeking that what they call manifest destiny, or where they can push their paganism and move away from the crown, the Spanish crown. All right. And also over there in Europe and England, they wanted to move away from all of that. So they were bringing all that shit over here to the Americas. All right. All right. This is a plaque that they commemorated Osceola with. It says a Seminole leader, perhaps Fort Moultrie's most celebrated resident, was Osceola. Famed. It's crazy. That's why the Lord said he gonna get us fame, not from this, man. This is not fame. This is war stories that Esau tells, man, of great warriors that they fought and they brought down. All right. It's like telling you a story about a bear. They ain't gonna say the bear was little. They're gonna say it was a big bear. It was one of the biggest bears I've ever seen, and I shot him. See that? That's why they tell you the stories about us, and then they tell you how they took us down. Watch this. It says, famed Seminole leader who led his people in their fight to remain in Florida, right? Because they was trying to push all of the natives and the what they call so-called Black Seminoles. They were trying to push them west, all right, over to Oklahoma and such, or the reservations. But anyway, it says, then submit to remove, where was that? Famed Seminole leader who led his people in their fight to remain in Florida rather than submit to removal to the Indian Territory, all right, in the West. Osceola was given freedom of the fort while being held here from January 1st, 1838. So that's, they gave him freedom of the fort, meaning he can walk freely anywhere he wants throughout that prison until his death from throat infection on January 30th. And that's my birthday. It's crazy. Oh, the day I was born on. So that's when he died. Check this out. And they probably poisoned him, really. All right. Now it says, kill the spirit of war and end the war. General Thomas Jessup was called in. He was determined to do what other generals had failed to do. All right. And that's Thomas Edomite Jessup. You see him with his hand in his coat right here. That's masonry. That's a Masonic hand gesture message. All right, so they were Masons, devil worshippers. Now it says General Thomas Jessup was called in. He was determined to do what other generals had failed to do. He would win this war, and he could capture Osceola. Jessup was a cautious man. He went over his plans carefully. He would avoid sending large numbers of soldiers into the deadly swamps. He would make sure to have enough supplies. He called upon the old enemy of the Seminoles, the Creek Indians, just like today. Esau uses Jake against other Jakes, all right, through their media, through their rap music, through putting them in ghettos and reservations, putting poisons in there like drugs and alcohol, and forcing them to fight against each other and kill each other. All right. To join him in battle, he promised the Creeks that they could take Black Seminoles as their prisoners, and then they could sell them as slaves. You see all that confusion, man? And he put his plans to work. The soldiers and the Creeks entered the swamps and began their attack. First, 16 Black Seminoles were captured, then 36 more. Then cattle and horses, ammunition and supplies. Then 25 more Seminoles, mostly women and children. All right, so the women and children would suffer and be left for days in the swamps, man. All right, left for days in the swamps with no covering because they didn't have time to make fire. They didn't have time. They couldn't make a fire because Esau would find the fire and shoot them up. You see that through the smoke. They couldn't make what they called chickees, all right, which would be like little houses on standing out of the waters in the swamps. So they had to stand in the swamps, man, for days and was dying out there. And that's hatred, to do that to people's families, children, babies, the women. All right, now this is Jeremiah when we were in Babylon, taken to Babylon. But that same, even worse than what Nebuchadnezzar did to our people, the Assyrians, you had Esau followed in the footsteps, all right, in the building of today, America, called Babylon, the daughter of Babylon. Lamentations 2:17. Yahweh have done that which he had devised, right? According to Deuteronomy 28. Scriptures say that we would come over here in slavery to our enemies. All right. So the Lord had to create them to be our enemy. What are they enemy to? Righteousness. They're enemy to our nation. All right. They're wicked. The wicked are enemy to the righteous. Yahweh have done that which he have devised. He had fulfilled his word that he had commanded in the days of old, and he did it. He have thrown down and have not pitied, and he have caused thine enemy to rejoice over thee. He have set up the horn of thine adversaries. He set up Esau, Amalek. Their heart cried unto the Lord, O wall of the daughter of Zion. Let tears run down like a river day and night. Give thyself no rest. Let not the apple of thine eyes cease, man. And we're in that condition. That's called hell upon earth. All right. Arise, cry out in the night. In the beginning of the watches, pour out thine heart like water before the face of the Lord. And that's what we do. Today we cry out in the night. In this age, this time that we're in is called night. And we're going into the day. All right. And that's what we cry out in the streets and upon the internet. In the beginning of the watches, pour out thine heart like water. All right. And scripture say, out of that belly shall flow rivers of living water. And that's how you know what times we're in. All right. The time of deliverance. It says, before the face of the Lord, lift up thy hands toward him for the life of thy young children that faint for hunger in the top of every street. All right. Hope basically saying, praying that the Lord send forth workers into the harvest and that the elect get woken up. Behold, O Yahweh, and consider to whom thou hast done this. Shall the women eat their fruit and children of a span long? Shall the priest and the prophet be slain in the sanctuary of the Lord? The young and the old lie on the ground. All right, that happened to us, man. Back then, and it happened to us here in America. The old and the young lie on the ground in the streets. My virgins, my young men, so the young women and the young men, are fallen by the sword. Thou hast slain them in the day of thine anger. Thou hast killed and not pitied. Thou hast called as in a solemn day my terrors round about, so that in the day of Yahweh's anger none escaped, nor remained. Those that I have swaddled and brought up have my enemies consumed. All right. But this is Micah chapter 2. And same thing the Lord said about Babylon, he's saying about Esau. Yeah, all right. But woe to those that offend. All right. Woe to the wicked. Micah 2:1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And that's people like Thomas Jessup, who's going into slavery in the future, man. And his descendants that are here, they're here to live out judgment upon this earth. When Yahweh shows up, Yahweh Shai. So they practice what? Witchcraft. There's all right. Verse 2. And they covet fields, man, and take them by violence, right? And they name them after themselves all around the world. And houses, and take them away, so that they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage, man. Right? I remember it said General Jessup, or Thomas Jessup, it says he was a cautious man. I'm going to get this. Genesis 25:27. And the boys grew, and Esau all right, who became the nation of Edom, who you later called the Greeks and Romans and to Americans and Europeans. It says it says Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, man. All right, wasn't in that spirit of hunting. They were focused on building families, building communities. Esau was focused on tearing them down and hunting and plotting on people. That lion going around the earth seeking who he may devour, bloodthirsty, to absorb the resources and hope of the people. All right, it says this now on page 27. But what of Osceola? With each day that passed, General Jessup could think of little else. Where was Osceola? Finally, Jessup sent a message to the Seminoles. The message offered peace if they would get out of Florida. It's crazy, man. What kind of offer is that, man? You talking about a hate crime? That's hate. You know, to give somebody an offer or a death. All right. It says once more the chiefs agreed to meet. In his official report to the government, the general wrote, "I shall probably be able to follow the enemy." They knew we're the enemy. All right. The enemy in their most hidden retreats, should they reject the terms offered them. All right, so they called us enemies. It says, then suddenly General Jessup was saying something new, something wonderfully different. The black Seminoles, which were basically Judites, mingled in amongst Reuben, or Reubenites too, you know, would be allowed to go west with the rest of the Seminole nation. Furthermore, Jessup said that the government would pay the Seminoles a fair price for their cattle and ponies. He promised to protect their lives and property, so he was lying. This is Psalms 55 and 20. He had put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He had broken his covenants, that's Esau. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter. So he used that as a weapon too, man. His lies and deception, his double tongue. But war was in his heart and his mind. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords, man. All right. And if that's not more proof, man, I don't know what is. That's why the scriptures say, if not, where and who is he? Who the hell is the wicked then? If it's not them. All right, this is an image of Esau. They would hang us by a rope and whip us, and if you fell, you would just hang. All right, they would whip you till your legs got weak. Anyway, let me just read this. It says, the Seminoles, when Osceola heard, he too agreed, but did the United States government really mean to carry out the promises that General Jessup had made? Most important was the promise that the black Seminoles, so-called, could also go in safety to the west. The Seminoles began coming together at Tampa Bay. They're drifting at anchor were the 26 boats waiting to move them on the first leg of their journey. So they had to trust Esau to carry them by boats over to the west. It's crazy, man. General Jessup, the Edomite, was sure now that at last the war was over, but he had made his plans without discussing them with the slave catchers. See, Esau is relentless, man. All right. So as soon as you think it's over, Esau like, no, I want to take some more. All right. Man, it's crazy. All right, I'm gonna read a little bit more. It says the Seminoles began. Well, actually, General Jessup was sure that at last the war was over, but he had made his plans without discussing them with the slave catchers, meaning Esau, his other Edomite, um, you know, demons, because they slave catchers, like we just slaves. You see how they, you know what I mean? Put labels on us, man. Um, scripture spoke about that, man. Who's really the slave? This is Ecclesiastes 10 and 7 and 6. Folly is set in great dignity, and the rich sit in low place, man. So the wicked have been set in great dignity. Esau, they've been set up and exalted through their riches. And how did they get their riches? Through the sword, the promise that was given to Esau in Genesis 25. But it said what? The rich, according to Revelations 2 and 9, but thou art rich, right? We sit in low places. And I have seen servants upon horses and princes walking as servants upon the earth. All right. So he that diggeth a pit shall fall into it, and whoso breaketh an hedge, a serpent shall bite him. So this is what's coming to Esau. All right. They're going to fall into their own ditch that they've dug for themselves. They touched the apple of the Lord's eye, the children of Israel. And they set themselves up for judgment day to receive that judgment that's written. All right. So the servants, the slaves, the true slaves are you Edomites. All right. It says they too began gathering at Tampa Bay, those slave catchers. When he learned of this, Jessup was angry. He wrote to the officer in command at Tampa Bay and ordered the slave owners to leave, basically Esau to leave. The Seminoles did not wish to go to war again. And he said, but any attempt to seize black Seminoles would be followed by an instant resort to arms. But to the slave owners, the main purpose of this Second Seminole War was to capture the black Seminoles. When the slave owners heard that General Jessup had agreed to let the black Seminoles go, nobody's black on this earth, but you get my point. They raised a storm of protest. So Esau, just like they always been, stone him, kill him, hang him, right? For no goddamn reason. And later on, just like they did with Emmett Till. That's that spirit of Esau, man. That racism, man. The true hate crime spirit. That true spirit of hate went down into the bowels, man. All right. Esau hates Jacob. You know. So I'm going to read one more part. It says, General Jessup could not stand up against the slave owners and their powerful friends in the government. So Esau has their power from what government seats. All right. Because it's in the power of their hand and their riches. He gave into their demands. He would try something else. I have some hopes, he wrote, of inducing both Indians and Indian Negroes. It's crazy, man. So it was the Seminole tribes and the Judite tribes, all right? Southern tribe. To unite in bringing in the Negroes taken from the citizens during the war. So they wanted to chase after the Negroes, so-called Negroes. But who could tell which black people, so-called black people, had ran away and which had always lived with the Seminole Nation? Just like today, they're going to put the chip in people, man. All right. The slave catchers could not tell, and it was clear they did not care. So they didn't care, man. They all together. So it was a hell that fell on all of our nation. All right. Esau didn't have no picks. They would just go into a whole room and grab everybody, men, women, and children, and slaughter them. All right. They swarmed into the Tampa Bay area and seized anyone with black skin. Nobody had black skin. They mean like dark skin. All right. So Esau used his mark of leprosy against us, because what they have is leprosy. With Osceola in charge, all the Seminoles fled for their lives. One night, more than 700 chiefs, warriors, and their families disappeared into the safety of the swamps. And as they fled, they warned all others who were still planning to come to Tampa Bay to save themselves. See, they were trusting Esau, man. Newspapers all over the country blamed General Jessup for letting the Seminoles, especially Osceola, slip through his grasp. The general had all of this war he could take. He asked permission to return to Washington, D.C. His request was turned down. To the Secretary of War, he wrote, "To rid the country of them, you must exterminate them." You see that? So he was saying to rid the country of our people, you had to exterminate us. That's called genocide, man. All right. So that's what Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai is going to do to the nation of Edom after 1,000 years of slavery. They're going to be exterminated off the earth so that Israel can rest from their hatred towards Esau. All right. The Lord's going to even give us rest from that, from even seeing them. All right. To the secretary, he wrote, "To rid the country of them, you must exterminate them. Is the government prepared for such a measure? Will public opinion sustain it?" All right. So, and that's just it, man. And they slaughter our people. They slaughtered our people, and they continue to slaughter our people. But this is Habakkuk 2:9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high. That's what Esau has done. That he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. The sin against Esau has sinned against himself. All right, his own soul. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. All right, all of these scriptures, they fall on America now. So I want to read this. Ezekiel 24:6. Wherefore thus saith Yahweh power, woe to the bloody city, it's talking about America, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out piece by piece, let no lot fall upon it. For her blood is in the midst of her. She set it upon the top of a rock. She poured it not upon the ground to cover it with dust, man. All right, so everything's exposed in the society. They have murals commemorating them taking us down. They name the land after themselves. The people we're still here, right? The damages are still here. The pain is still here. You know, our people, we still carry that pain in us. And it's never been rectified. That's why when the Lord shows up, he's going to wipe away every tear. All right. It says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, woe to the bloody city. I will even make the pile for fire great. Heap on the wood, kindle the fire, consume the flesh and spice it well, and let the bones be burned. All right. And that's what the Lord is doing. He's setting America up as a pot ready to boil. This is Nahum 3:1. Woe to the bloody city. All right. It is full of lies and robbery, and the prey departeth not. See, we still here. All right. And it's full of lies and robbery. That's it. There's no ifs, and buts, or maybes. This is that place. All right. It's a bloody city. They built the town. They built this place with bloodshed. The noise of whips and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots. The horsemen lifteth up both the bright sword and the glittering spear, and there is a multitude of slain, a great number of carcasses. I'm skip down. Because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlot, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations through her whoredoms and families through her witchcrafts, and that's America. All right. Behold, I am against thee, saith Yahweh of hosts, of armies. I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will show the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. All right. So America has become, according to verse 6, that gazing stock. All right. And now what this nation has done to our people, the Most High is going to set up other nations to do the same thing to her, to America. And then to their nation, the Edomites scattered all around the world, he's going to raise up the children of Israel to do to their nation what they have done to us. See that? Double unto them what they've done to us. It's going to be 1,000 years of slavery. All right. It says, verse 30, page 30. Then he wrote, this talking about General Jessup, the Edomite. He wrote to a fellow officer in the army, if you see Osceola again, tell him that I intend to send exploring parties into every part of the country this summer. I shall send out and take all the Negroes who belong to the white people. Wow. It said white people, Esau, right? It said we belong to them, huh? And he must not allow the Indians or the Indian Negroes to mix with them. He was trying to cause division, separation. To tell him I am sending for bloodhounds to trail them, and I intend to hang everyone of them who does not come in. Sheesh. Esau, boy. This is Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine through his lies and philosophies. He is a proud man, see? Because that's his tool, his deception. So he became proud through their riches. Neither keepeth at home, all right? And they going around the world, seeking whom it may devour, in that spirit of Satan. And the spirit of the devil, the deceiver. Who enlarges his desire as hell and is as death. So anywhere they desire to spread their demonocracy or their community, they bring hell to the other people. And what? They cannot be satisfied. All right, that's the point. But gathereth unto him all nations and heapeth unto him all people. 1 Peter 5 and 8. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, see, our contender, the devil, the spiritual demon Satan and Esau, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. All right, and that's what he was doing. At that time, they were moving in that spirit of the devil, seeking whom they may devour, setting traps for our people. Psalms 10 and 7. His mouth is full of cursing and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. That's you Europeans, man, you Edomites, talking about hate speech. But well, y'all are the example of hate. So their mouth is full of cursing, man. Like cursing our people and deceit and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity. If that's not them, I don't know who is. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily set against the poor. He lieth in wait secretly as a lion in his den. He lieth in wait to catch the poor. He doeth catch the poor when he draweth him into his net. He croucheth and humbleth himself, that the poor may fall by his strong ones. He saith in his heart, Yahweh hath forgotten, and he hideth his face, he will never see it. So that's Esau, man. That's these Europeans that came over here, man. All right. And they crouched down and humbled themselves, and that we would fall to their military and their soldiers. All right. And it says what? He lied and waits secretly as a lion to catch the poor, man, the weak. All right. It says Jessup also wrote to commanders. It says Jessup also wrote to commanding officers at several army posts in Seminole territory. He told the military officers that they could take any captured Seminoles, cattle, or houses, or horses, and consider them as their own property. So he told the Edomite soldiers that they can take anything that they saw, man. And that's what the Lord's going to tell us in that day, once he raises us up. All right. Then came the heart of Jessup's message. The soldiers could sell on any black person they captured. See that, man? So they ain't doing it but increase our suffering. He told the soldiers any Jake that they captured, they could sell them. So that was families, mothers, aunts, children, daughters, sons, cousins, breaking up families, man. All right. But the Lord said, shame is going to cover them. You know. It says, so now the soldiers, too, became slave catchers. 2 other Native American tribes even agreed to help the soldiers track the Seminoles down if they were paid $50 for each black person they caught. The Cherokee refused. The Seminoles are our brothers, they said. There followed another summer of sickness, hunger, and despair for the Seminoles. Unlike the United States Army, the Seminoles could not replace a lost warrior. See, that's the way they were poor. Their warriors were become fewer and fewer. Most of their cattle had already been taken. They could not plant crops in swamps. Osceola knew they were facing starvation. He himself was ill. How much longer could he lead his people? All right. That's what he said. He doeth catch the poor. All right. And he set their eyes privily against the poor. Now, all right. So they took all the riches of our people, man. This is Job 20 and 15. He hath swallowed down riches, and he shall vomit them up again. Yahweh shall cast them out of his belly. He shall suck the poison of asp. The viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. That which he labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein, because he hath oppressed and hath forsaken the poor, because he hath violently taken away an house which he builded not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. All right. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. All right, so Esau have built America. They built up their new world order. All right, and it started with the enslavement of our people. Of what they built capital. They built capital, and a lot of these businesses off of our enslavement and oppression. All right, with their foot on our neck, they're able to stand taller. But the Lord said, when they're about to fill their belly, meaning like devour everybody, that's when Yahweh Shai is going to show up. All right, and rain fire upon them, the judgment. All right, check this out. Now we get to the point. All right, the topic on this page is called the white flag dishonored. All right, because when Esau was saying peace, they brought destruction instead. And he set a trap for Osceola and the Seminoles. All right, he said peace, his words were smoother than butter, but his thoughts were drawn swords, man. All right, so I'm going to get into it. All right, you see it says the arrest of Osceola. This is where they set him up. Remember, mind you, he would never give in to Esau. That wasn't in his mindset to do. All right, this was his spirit. That was Osceola's spirit right here. Putting the knife to the paper. But then when they betrayed him, they tricked him, right, through peace. All right, that was his spirit. See that? But then when they betrayed him, check this out. It says, one day General Jessup received from Osceola the white plume of an egret and a peace pipe made of beads. And that was their form of saying we want to sit down and talk. All right, the white plume was like Esau's white flag. All right, that was the white flag of dishonor, but the white plume represented peace. They were coming in peace, and the Indians, they stood on that. Jessup knew what these two gifts meant. The pipe meant that Osceola wished to meet and talk of peace. They call it the peace pipe. The white feather meant that Seminoles promised safety to the whites, to Esau, who were red, who came to the meeting ground, all right? The general knew this was his last chance to end the Seminole War and to emerge from this war a hero. He was prepared to use any method, fair or foul, to carry out his goal. Once more, he laid his plans. He commanded his assistant, General Hernandez, to meet with Osceola 20 miles south of St. Augustine. He gave Hernandez a list of questions to be put to Osceola. If Osceola's replies were not satisfactory, Hernandez knew what he was to do. That The eventful day was October 21st, 1837, and Osceola and the other Seminole leaders put on their full ceremonial dress and shining silver jewelry. In their turbans, they placed plumes of the egret to show they were meeting in peace. The white flag of truce that was flying in the gentle Florida breeze told Osceola that the Edomites was also meeting in peace. Like the plume of the egret, the flag of truce was a bond that no honorable man would betray. See, Esau is a dishonorable man. All right. Osceola and Hernandez greeted each other with friendly gestures. You see that? And General Jessup didn't even go. The Seminoles were asked to disarm. Osceola told his people to stack their weapons, and they did. This was to be a meeting to talk peace. But the first question General Hernandez asked was, are you prepared to deliver up the Negroes taken from the citizens? That's how he started the meeting off. Osceola was stunned. He turned to the chief at his side and in a shaking voice said, I am choked. You must speak for me. But there was no time for anyone to speak. Hernandez gave a signal. His troops, hidden nearby, moved in. Osceola was captured together with 12 chiefs, 75 warriors, and 6 women. One of the soldiers later wrote to a friend, I shall never forget that day, nor the sad, disappointed face of Chief Osceola and the other Indians. We were outraged by the cowardly way he was betrayed into capture. All right. It says, but General Jessup sat down and wrote to the Secretary of War, I have the satisfaction to inform you that Osceola is my prisoner. It was not a satisfaction that was shared by the American people, probably all Edomites. Newspapers across the nation reported in outrage the shameful capture of Osceola, dishonorable, a violation of all that is noble and generous in war. We cannot forget that he was provoked by treachery and captured by treachery. Sheesh. All right, Psalm 17 and 8. And that same spirit of Esau, they're about to push what they call martial law and persecution on the Israelites again, man. All right. Psalm 17 and 8. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Keep me under the shadow of thy wings. Protection of the covering of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And our people weren't covered at that time. That's the only way Esau was able to touch and do all those things to us. Is because Yahweh Shem Yahushua was not covering us at that time. It says, from the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about, and they were deadly, and they proved it. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth, they speak proudly, as Esau. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth. I always said their eyes are privily set against the poor. All right. Like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. You see that? And like a lion in his den, a secret place. That's what a den is. All right. Arise, O Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. So it was a sword that the Lord used against us. All right. From men which are thy hand, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasures, they are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. And that's what they've done. That's why the Lord said, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, man. This is Isaiah Isaiah 14. Sheesh. All of this is about Esau right here, man. All right. But I'm not going to read all of that. That's too much. In fact, I'll start from here. Isaiah 14:4. That thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, that's the president of America, and say, how have the oppressor ceased? The golden city has ceased, man. And we in that time now, the end of it, all right, of America. Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of rulers, man, America. All right. That's what these elite bankers over in Europe use to get rich. They use America, the whore. All right, and to oppress the people and oppress the nations through NATO. They use America. Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, and he started breaking it through what? Spiritual war, the pulling down of strongholds in the mind of our people. He who smote the people in wrath with a continuous stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. This is in the kingdom. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. All right, no falling one. All you heathens are going to fall. And once you fall, you're never going to come up against us again. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. So these nations, the Lord is going to have all these nations around the world come up against America the same way that America came up against the children of Israel. All right, it stirreth up the dead for thee. The dead represent these other heathen nations. All right, and even Russia, which are Edomites. All right, they're being stirred up against America. So as Satan divided against Satan. And if Satan be divided against Satan, then you know that their house shall not stand, that it hath an end. It's going to end. All right. Even all the chief ones of the earth, it have raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. All they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and thy noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. So that's America being brought low. All right. In the midst of these other nations, these proxy nations, these third world countries, America is becoming a third world country. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? And this is talking about the elites, all the way to America, because America represents that light, right? Oh, you have the Illuminati, or which was started here in America, branched out from Europe. All right. But you had the Illuminati and your what do you call that shit, man? Your groves. All right, or your secret societies here in America, tied to those elite bankers over in Europe. So what it says, O Lucifer, all right, as Esau, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into the heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of Yahweh. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. All right, and they've done that over here in America. It's called North America. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And they've done that. They, They're trying to be like God. They over here in America with their genocide, with their what they call splitting of the atoms, nuclear weapons. What do you call that shit, man? Cloning and dealing with abortions, right? And GMOs and swine flu shots and all this crazy shit, man. Setting up policies to trap people, putting people to death, so on and so on, man. Trying to set up a new world order. It says what? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, man. So from America all the way to Europe, the Lord's going to bring their power system down. All right. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? You know, and the Seminole Wars are a part of that. That's what they destroyed cities, man, and they made the world a wilderness. All the kings of that's what the Lord called them, the mystery of iniquity. All right, and they had to be revealed in it, and they're being revealed in these times. All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare, right? So this is what a judgment that's coming to their descendants of those slave owners. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. That's what they've been doing, man. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, saith Yahweh, right? Because they have a judgment coming to them. All right. So he says, they filled the face of the world with cities, man, and he possessed the lands. All right. This is a quote from Tecumseh. I think he was a Shawnee Indian over there in Oklahoma. It says, they came to us hungry. Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this one. This is a statement dealing with Cochise and the Apaches. All right. It says, now the white men, or say Esau, right? Because no one's white. They call Edomites. Now Esau poured into Apache country. Settlers came. They built cattle ranches and grazed their cattle on Apache land. You see that? That's why the Lord said that they do not rise nor possess the land or fill the face of the world with cities. Miners came. They dug into the native people's land for gold and silver, like a parasite, man. Then, when the Apaches tried to protect their land, soldiers came. See that? The soldiers built forts to protect the ranchers and miners, settlers, miners, and soldiers, all invaders of Apache land. They came to us hungry, and they cut off the hands of our brothers, who gave them corn. We gave them rivers of fish, and they poisoned our fountains. We gave them forests, clad mountains, and valleys full of game. And in return, what did they give our warriors and our women? Rum and trinkets and a grave.